Hello and welcome to The Chart Show. I'm Victoria Scholar. Each week I'll be sharing my analysis on three key stories that are getting a lot of attention among investors. I'll be breaking them down not just from a fundamental perspective, but from a technical perspective as well, with a look at the charts. So here are this week's three charts. Goldman Sachs, which rounded out a string of earnings from Wall Street's biggest lenders. Netflix, after its third quarter results, topped expectations. And the pound, which has been making gains ahead of what looks like a potential rate hike this year. Goldman Sachs reported a forecast-topping set of earnings across the board. Third quarter profits jumped 63% to $5.28 billion on revenues, up 26% to $13.61 billion. The outperformance was driven by strength in its investment banking unit, which saw revenues surge 88% thanks to a stellar period for M&A and IPO activity. Its consumer and wealth management division also posted strong results, up 35%. In September, Goldman announced plans to acquire fintech platform Green Sky, which provides home improvement loans, and it also announced the departure of its CFO, who will be replaced at the end of the year. Let's take a look at the chart now, because shares in Goldman Sachs closed the session higher on the day of its results. Since the trough last October, the stock has rallied close to 120%, trading in an ascending trend line with higher highs and higher lows. The stock peaked in August before pulling back to test the trendline support. However, this month has seen gains coming back into play, which potentially puts the stock on track to test the August peak just above 420 once again. A break above could pave the way for further gains and an extension of the prior uptrend. Netflix was the first major tech stock in the US to report third quarter results this week, with the sector rallying in the sessions ahead of the slew of earnings in anticipation of another good quarterly performance. Shares in Netflix dropped after hours despite reporting a beat on earnings and a beat on new subscriber numbers in the third quarter, partly thanks to its hit series Squid Game. It's expecting another 8.5 new subscribers in the fourth quarter, which was largely in line with expectations. Let's take a look at the chart now of Netflix, because 2021 has seen the initial bearish trend on the chart end with a double bottom in May and June and get replaced by a bullish uptrend with higher highs and higher lows, reverting back to 2020's pandemic era of positive price action. The stock has rallied more than 30% since June, with price action firmly above the 200-day moving average level. The next key resistance on the upside is at 640, the peak from earlier in October, while the next level to watch on the downside is 610. This was a key level of resistance on the way up, but has now turned into key support. The pound is in focus this week among investors after comments from the Bank of England's Governor Andrew Bailey pointing to an interest rate hike sooner rather than later. Faced with higher inflation and inflation expectations, Bailey made it clear that the Monetary Policy Committee is ready to hike. He said, "We at the Bank of England have signalled, and this is another such signal, that we will have to act." Money markets are now pricing in the chances of a 15 basis point rate hike to 0.25%, somewhere north of 80% at the next rate setting meeting in November, rising from just 50% last week. Expectations have evolved very rapidly, with forecasts shifting from next summer to next month over the course of just a matter of weeks. In light of Bailey's comments, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan both said they're expecting the Bank of England to raise interest rates in November. 2-year and 5-year gilts hit the highest level since May 2019 in terms of their yield, while the pound has reversed its downtrend, attempting to regain ground after 4 months of declines. Taking a look at the chart now, because sterling hit a 20-month high against the euro and rallied past 138 against the US dollar for the first time since the 17th of September. Taking a look at the chart of cable, or GBPUSD, after the peak in May, we saw a descending trend line with lower highs and lower lows, reaching a trough in September just above 134. This month, however, we've seen the British currency regain ground, breaking above its descending trendline of resistance and coming close to testing resistance at the 200-day moving average, which is at around 138.42. If we see the currency pair break above that long-term moving average, that could point to a more bullish trend ahead, with sights set on 140 as the next significant hurdle, a high not seen since June.